All right, everybody, welcome to another deep dive. Today we are going to be taking a look at the party game Muse.
Oh, yeah, I love Muse.
Me too.
Yeah.
But specifically, we're going to be looking at how the game is played.
Okay.
And luckily, the rule insert lays out the rules really well, and that's going to be the source for this deep dive.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you've never played Muse before, this could be a really good deep dive for you.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. It's got a very simple premise.
Yeah.
You know, you and your friends get together, you split into teams, and then your goal is to basically, like, guess these masterpieces.
Right, it's a very simple premise, like you said, but it's a lot deeper than it seems.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so let's start with just the basic outline, the objective of the game, right?
Okay, so the first team to collect 5 masterpieces wins.
Okay, so 5 masterpieces. Now, what exactly is a masterpiece in the context of this game?
Right, so it's not like you're going to be, like, painting something
Sure.
or, sculpting something. The masterpieces are these cards.
Right.
And these cards have different things on them.
Yeah, they could be anything from like famous paintings to historical events to even pop culture references. It's really broad.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so fun because everybody can kind of contribute, no matter what your background is.
Yeah, and it can get really funny, too. Like if you have a group of friends who are all into like a certain TV show,
Right.
you could get a masterpiece card that's related to that. And it just like brings back all these memories and inside jokes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's so cool about the game is it can be so tailored to your group.
Right.
So, all right, so we've got these masterpieces that we got to collect 5 of them to win. But how do we actually go about collecting them? How's the game actually played?
All right. So the game is played in teams.
Okay.
So you're going to split into 2 to 3 teams with at least 2 players on each team.
So you can't really play this with just 2 people total?
Well, I think there actually is a supplement to the rules for smaller groups.
Interesting.
But yeah, typically you want to have at least, 4 people to play.
Okay, so 2 or 3 teams, at least 2 people on each team.
Yep.
And what's the game mechanic then? Like, what's the core part of the gameplay?
Okay. So on each team, you're going to designate a muse.
A muse. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So the muse is basically the person who is giving clues to their team.
Okay, so they're like the clue giver.
Exactly.
Got it.
Now, the muse receives 2 secret cards.
2.
The first card is the masterpiece card, which reveals the target their team needs to guess.
So that's what their team needs to figure out.
Exactly.
Got it.
And the second card is the inspiration card.
Inspiration card.
And this card is basically like a filter for the clue.
Okay, so it gives them a way to describe the masterpiece.
Right. So, for example, let's say the masterpiece is like the Mona Lisa.
Okay, everybody knows the Mona Lisa.
Right. And then let's say the inspiration card says sound.
Okay.
So the muse would have to give a clue that relates to the Mona Lisa, but in terms of sound.
So they can't say like famous painting or Italy or anything like that. They have to use sound as their inspiration for the clue.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it gets you thinking outside the box.
Definitely.
And there are all sorts of different inspiration cards. Like some of them are really abstract,
Oh, like what?
like emotion
Emotion, okay.
or action.
Oh, wow. So they'd have to come up with a clue that relates to Mona Lisa, but using an action?
Right, exactly.
That's wild. I love that.
It's a lot of fun.
So the muse gives their clue, and then what happens?
So then the teammates discuss and debate, and then they make one guess as a team.
Just one guess.
Yep, just one.
Wow, that's tough.
It is. And here's the kicker. The muse has to stay totally silent during this whole process.
Oh, wow. So they can't give any additional hints or anything?
Nope, they just have to sit there and watch their team struggle.
Oh, man. That's brutal, but also hilarious.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny watching people try to figure out the clues.
So what happens after the team makes their guess?
Well, if they guess correctly, their team keeps the masterpiece card.
Okay.
But if they guess incorrectly, the opposing team gets it.
Oh, so there's a little bit of like back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps things interesting.
So it's not just about getting the right answer. It's also about preventing the other team from getting it.
Exactly.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it adds a nice competitive element to the game.
And I imagine the masterpiece cards themselves are pretty interesting. Are they like actual pictures or are they just words?
I haven't actually seen all of the cards myself.
Oh.
But the rule book says that they're, beautifully illustrated.
Oh, cool.
So I imagine they're probably like a combination of pictures and words.
Okay, so it's not just like a dry list of facts or anything.
Right, it's like visually appealing as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, it adds to the whole experience.
So let's talk about the gameplay flow then. So we've got our teams, we've got our muse giving clues, the team guesses, then what?
So then the turns rotate.
Okay.
So each team gets a chance to be the muse and to guess.
So everybody gets a chance to experience both sides of the game.
Exactly.
That's great. I like that.
Yeah, and make sure that everyone's involved and no one feels left out.
Definitely. And I think that's one of the things that makes Muse such a great party game is that it really does encourage everyone to participate.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not just sitting there watching the people play. You're actually actively involved in the game the whole time.
Yeah, and it's a game that you can play with people of all ages, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, I've played it with my family, with my friends, with my coworkers.
Right.
And it's always a hit.
And I think it's because it's such a simple game to learn, but it's really hard to master.
Yes.
There's a lot of strategy involved in terms of how you give your clues and how you interpret the clues that you're given.
Yeah, like, do you go for a literal interpretation of the inspiration card, or do you try to be more abstract?
Right.
Do you try to play it safe with a clue that's more obvious, or do you take a risk and try to be really clever?
Right.
There are so many different ways to play it.
And I think that's what makes it so replayable.
Yeah, you can play it over and over again, and it never gets old.
And you're always discovering new things about the game and about the people you're playing with.
Absolutely.
So to wrap things up, I think Muse is a fantastic party game for anyone who's looking for something that's creative, engaging, and just plain fun.
I completely agree.
It's a game that really gets you thinking outside the box, and it's a great way to connect with people.
And it's not just about winning. It's about the journey of getting there. It's about the laughs and the memories that you create along the way.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes Muse so special.
Yeah, it's a game that brings people together.
So if you're looking for a new party game to try, I highly recommend Muse. You won't be disappointed.
It's a guaranteed good time.
And I was just thinking about this. What if you took the idea of Muse and you applied it to other things?
What do you mean?
Like, what if you made a Muse deck that was all about, like, your personal life?
Oh, that's interesting.
So, like, the Masterpiece cards could be, like, inside jokes with your friends.
Oh, I love that.
Or, like, memories from your childhood. Or even, like, your hopes and dreams for the future.
Oh, wow, that would be so cool.
And then the inspiration cards could be, like, emotions or personality traits.
Yeah, so instead of describing the Mona Lisa, you'd be describing, like, your best friend.
Exactly. Or, like, your dream job or your ideal vacation.
Oh, man, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, it'll be so much fun. I think I'm going to try to make a deck like that.
You should. I'd love to play it.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up this deep dive on Muse.
That was a good one.
Thanks for joining me.
Of course, anytime.
And for everyone listening, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.